Hi, I'm Amanda Gallucci, and today we're covering chapters 5 and 6 of Joe Pulizzi's Epic Content Marketing. So the first thing he talks about in chapter 5 are how to get buy-in for your content marketing plan. And he says that it's basically the same way you would get buy-in for any other business idea. You need to be able to answer these questions. First and foremost, you need to know what the need is. How big of a need is it? What's the business model? Then what's your differentiating value? And finally, what are the risks? Some of the ways that you can do this are right here. The 4 hidden benefits that they talk about in the chapter are 1, a recruiting edge. If people are searching for a job and they come across all the content on your blog, they instantly feel a connection with you. They know what your brand is about. They understand how you work. It can boost morale if you have a post that does really great on the internet. Everyone's talking about your company. Everyone's tweeting it, liking it on Facebook. Similarly, it opens up the lines of communication for all these people who now see your brand on the internet. They want to ask you questions. They want to know more about your brand. It just creates conversations naturally. And kind of tying all of those things together, it fosters trust because you're putting it out there, what you believe in, what your position is on something. And the 2 approaches that you can take are the pilot and fear. So the pilot is just a little test pilot for content marketing. If someone isn't sure that it's right for them, you can say, hey, give me 6 months to create content and I'm gonna hit all of these goals. That's the key, is to establish criteria for yourself and be able to hit it in a given period of time, because if you can prove that you can increase email subscribers and Twitter followers and all of these things with content in just 6 months, then you can turn around and say, well, guess what I can do in a year. The other way to go is fear, which can be a really good option. If someone's really hesitant, just go to their competitors, say all of these people are doing content and they have this many more leads coming in a month and they have this many more sales a month. If you don't want your competition to get ahead, no one does. Now moving into chapter 6, Joe just covers a bunch of examples of large and small businesses who are doing a great job of content marketing. The first one he talks about is Coca-Cola with their Content 2020 projects. If you haven't seen the video, you should check it out. It really does talk about why you need content, what's so important about it. And some of the key values that they address are that Coca-Cola wants to develop value and significance in all people. That's really not just what a soda brand's mission statement usually is, but it's taking it a step further. They don't just want people to like the taste of their product, they want people to value them and find their brand significant, not just another soda company. And similarly, they want to have a disproportionate share of pop culture. Red Bull is another big company who's doing amazing things with content marketing. It's not just that Red Bull is creating content, but they're protecting their content. They're making money off of their content because every photo and video on their website, if you want to use it, you have to get permission to use it. And they're even expanding into the music industry and they're making royalties that way. Even though it's an unrelated niche market, they're able to do it with content marketing. And the same thing for a print and digital magazine, that might not be what you think of when you think of Red Bull, but they have millions of subscribers. Another company that you may not have heard of because it's from Denmark is Jyske Bank. And ironically, it's one of the largest media corporations. They actually have their own TV station and they produce all of this content. But what's significant about this example is that 80% of their content comes from outside or is shared on outside sources. So because they've made their content so embeddable and shareable, they have an insanely wide reach. And that's a lesson that anyone can take away. You don't have to have your own TV company, but if you make content that is very easy for other people to put on their own website, it's going to get out there on the internet. It's going to go viral and all these things that you want it to do. Then Joe says, okay, well, all these companies have multi-million-dollar budgets, so what do the small companies do? And he gives 2 awesome examples there. For OpenView Labs, it's a company that started out really small and they cater to entrepreneurs, and they were spending all this money trying to get leads, trying to get entrepreneurs to come to their site. All they did was start a blog, and they wrote the answers to questions that entrepreneurs are searching for on the internet. And quickly they became this leading resource for entrepreneurs. When they have a question, they turn to this blog. And they had tremendous results. And they had 18,000 subscribers to their e-newsletter. Just a small company of 20 employees. Very similarly, there's a company called River Pools and Spas. And they did the same thing. Instead of spending all this money on advertising, they wrote a blog. If you have a question about pool installation, chances are it's on their website. And when you search for a specific query in Google that's related to pool installations, this is probably going to be the #1 result. And as a result, they did the most pool installations anywhere in North America. So whether or not you've heard of this small company, they are everywhere in their market. And as a result, they were able to drop their spend on advertising significantly. They went from spending $250,000 a year on marketing to only $40,000 a year. So if that doesn't convince you that content marketing works, I'm not really sure. Maybe go back, dive back into chapter 5, think about all the reasons why it's great, and then try to get some inspiration from these examples, because there are so many things that you could be doing with content marketing and they could really help your brand. Thanks for watching.